afternoon. It is now 1 p.m. on this Saturday, the 21st day of September 2024, and you're just on time for NTV at 1. And for the next 20 minutes, we take you across the country, updating you on everything happening and also beyond our borders. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. Let's get started. And we start on the Social Health Insurance Fund. That Kenyans will be deducted 2.75% of their monthly income starting October, as planned by the government after the Court of Appeal extended an order suspending a decision quashing the new Social Health Insurance Fund. In a boost to the government's plan to roll out SHIF, a bench of 3 judges of the appellate court ruled that it is no longer possible to conduct public participation on a law that has been enacted. Rose Wangoi has more.
It's a win for the government as the Court of Appeal allows Social Hospital Insurance Fund SHIF rollout. The ruling by Justices Francis Tuyot, Abida Ali Aroni and Lydia Achode means that the government can proceed with the rollout of the Social Health Insurance Fund and its Universal Care Program next month. The 3-judge bench argues the argument by the Ministry of Health of how impossible it was to undertake public participation within 120 days as directed by the High Court. The judges also say the submission that it was almost impossible to conduct public participation on laws that have already been enacted was also valid. The court notes that it is unwise and chaotic to revert to the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, 9 months later after it was repealed. They argued that if the appeal is successful, returning to the old health scheme would lead to even more confusion. In its appeal, the government argued that more than 7 million Kenyans registered under the NHIF would be unable to access healthcare if the orders against the Social Health Project were not lifted. In July, the High Court declared the Social Health Insurance Act unconstitutional, citing a lack of sufficient public participation in the fund's establishment. A 3-judge bench comprising Justices Alfred Mabea, Robert Limo, and Frida Migabi ruled that the act also contained disparities that rendered it invalid. The judges in their ruling gave Parliament 120 days to make amends to the controversial act. Parliamentarians were directed to undertake adequate public participation per the Constitution and amend all other unconstitutional sections. The development now allows government to implement the policy by October 1st as planned. The government has already indicated that those who will not have registered by September 30th might not receive health services. Rosongwe, NTV.
Thank you very much, Rose. Let's now have a look at some political story and the rivalry between Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has intensified after Gachagua on Friday rallied traders at the Marikiti market to reject Sakaja's plan to relocate them to Kangundo Road Market. But in a quick response, Governor Sakaja accused the Deputy President for overreach. NTV's political affairs reporter David Mudhoka with the details.
A week after traders at the Marikiti market in downtown Nairobi staged protests at the market to oppose their relocation to the Kangundo Road Market by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a section of his political allies made an impromptu visit to the market on Friday to rally the traders to defy Sakaja.
Gavana mketi chini, kuwe na mazungumzo, kuwe na maelewano, kwa sababu watu hapana viazi. Huwezi toa watu hapa kama gunia. Huwezi toa watu hapa kama gunia. Watu ni wananchi, na wananchi ni watu ya kusikizwa.
Gachagua further accused Sakaja of going against his pledge to him and Nairobi residents that traders at Marikiti will not be relocated once he got to office, following several attempts by Sakaja's predecessors to move the traders out of the CBD.
Ile mtu yeyote anategemea hapo mbele ya kwamba anataka hao wananchi wa muunge mkono achunge maslahi yao na waongeleshe kwa heshima na asiwatishe, si ndio?
But Sakaja responded almost immediately through a statement saying that the relocation of most of the traders was for their own safety. Hitting out at the country's number 2, the Nairobi County boss said, and I quote, I have a duty and mandate that will not let me fall for populist political gimmicks at the expense of the lives and safety of Nairobians. End of quote. In a more direct attack at the DP, Sakaja further states, and I quote, "However, if you have sufficient space outside your office on Harambee Avenue, I am sure they will be happy to display their wares and ply their trade in that safe environment." End of quote. Sakaja concludes by stating, and I quote, "I know you are dealing with other weighty and impending political issues. Keep the people of Nairobi out of it." End of quote. Pressure continues to mount on the embattled DP, with leaders from afar and wide now accusing him of blackmailing the president.
Mtu yoyote ambaye anachokora na kutishia rais, I'm blackmailing the president and the government every day. Blackmail, threats to the president and this government that we worked hard to obtain, we are watching you.
Mambo ya ukabila hatutaki katika Kenya. Aunganishe watu, asiseme hii ni mtu yangu. Sisi wote ni watu wa naibu wa rais kama yeye anafanya kazi na rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The attacks come after 48 MPs from Mount Kenya West and 12 from Mount Kenya East denounced Gachagua as Mount Kenya's de facto leader. David Muthoka, NTV, Nairobi.
To the education sector now, and lecturers' unions have rubbished claims by the Ministry of Education that an agreement has been reached on contentious issues and remain adamant that they will carry on with their strike. The university's academic staff union and the Kenya University Staff Union maintain that no return to work deal had been reached, leaving the ministry with a mountain to climb. Education CS Julius Ogamba and Higher Education Principal Secretary Beatrice Inyangala, however, continue to claim that key concerns have been addressed.
It is on the basis of this that I urge the teaching and non-teaching staff of all our public universities to agree to return to the negotiating table and discuss with us the most practical and reasonable way of resolving the prevailing standoff. It is our view, and we are fully persuaded, that our lecturers and non-teaching staff are patriotic Kenyans, and that they'll put the interests of the nation and our students first and reach an agreement with governments with a view to returning to work. But let me also emphasize that all is not doom and gloom. The government and the two trade unions, UASU and KUSU, have reached agreements on a number of issues. At the level of UASU, I'm pleased to share that the two parties have reached consensus on 5 key issues, namely retirement age, a 7% basic salary increment, car loan and mortgage scheme, annual leave, and the establishment of a national implementation committee that will monitor the rollout of a newly signed collective bargaining agreements.
Still on education, the Principal Secretary for Technical and Vocational Education and Training has directed departments in the sector to establish desks that will identify needy students for funding through scholarships, as the debate on higher education funding rages on. PS Esther Dhara, however, says the government has fully funded education and training in TVETs at a cost of 72,000 shillings per course, but there is still need to identify needy cases to avert current challenges faced by public universities.
That funding model, as it is now, has had very many queries. But notice that these queries are from the university space. You have never had any noise from the TVET space. There has not been any noise from our space. Why? Because for our students, it is standard. They need approximately 72,000 Kenya shillings to be able to go through their training. So what happened, and what I directed my principals to do, is to have the help desks, so that when the young people come, they are able to help them to apply for the scholarships and the help loans.
Hundreds of girls in Bungoma County can now study uninterrupted after benefiting from a sanitary pads project funded by the DTB Bank and the Together for Better Foundation. This follows a feature by NTV titled Poverty and Parent Teens, which revealed how the future of hundreds of learners in Bungoma County was at risk due to lack of sanitary towels fueled by the high poverty levels in the region. NTV's Ruth Sarmue-Chesenge tells us more.
Decide on something.
In November last year, NTV highlighted the alarming rate of teen pregnancies and school dropout in Bungoma. Statistics from the Kenya Health Information System showed that 9,582 girls aged between 10 and 19 years old became pregnant between January and July 2023. And while issues of peer pressure, parent neglect saw the rise in these numbers, the lack of sanitary towels and poverty left many girls exploited, leaving them pregnant. Well-wishers are now extending a hand of help.
The girl child has been impacted very negatively because of lack of sanitary towels. We don't want that to happen, and we are asking more partners, together with the county government of Bungoma, to take the issue of menstrual health and menstrual hygiene very, very seriously.
This initiative by DTB Bank in collaboration with Together for Better Foundation will provide reusable organic sanitary towel for girls in schools where high rates of period shame and teenage pregnancies have been reported.
And also to make sure it's organic product as higher percentage as possible.
We are going to reach out to 10 schools. In total, they are going to reach out to about 1,500 girls. And these sanitary towels, we've been told, it will last for 2 years.
Together for Better Foundation, in partnership with the Kenya Red Cross Society, plan to teach girls how to make reusable sanitary towels. And in order to reduce the number of teen pregnancies in the region, these organizations are calling for collaborations from the relevant stakeholders.
I need parent support because parents are also part of growing community, and without their help, it might be doubtful that we will achieve everything what we have planned for.
As a long-term solution, the Bungoma County has also drafted a policy that seeks to curb the rise in these numbers. The policy is awaiting approval from the County Assembly.
Now, one of the interventions in that policy document is that the county government to get more resources so that we provide, sanitary towels for our girls in school.
The county is also conducting civic education among students, both boys and girls, on the Vice. Some 21,000 girls in 16 counties nationwide have already benefited from this program since 2021. Ruth Sarmue-Chesenge, NTV.
Now, from that story of hope in Bungoma County, we now head to the neighboring Kakamega County. And parents, teachers and pupils of Lugari Township Primary School, that is in Lugari, Kakamega County, took to the streets to protest over a grabbed parcel of land belonging to the school. This led to the eviction of a resident who had been accused of building a residential property on a 3-acre piece of land within the school's premises. Helen Aura has more.
It was a sight to behold as these children joined in on the protests. With their teachers and parents backing them up, they had no fear but hope. This resident had encroached into the school's property, and despite several warnings by the school's administration, they were defied.
Hiyo nyumba aliambiwa atoe. Tuliona sasa yeye kama anachichukulia serikali mkononi, na sisi nasi tutumie haki yetu. Haki yetu ni kupomoa hii nyumba.
The angry parents took it upon themselves to send a clear message by also digging this trench, indicating a clear demarcation of the school's boundaries.
Kwa sasa wamefanya kazi nzuri kwa sababu hii shamba imechukua muda mrefu nikiwa kama kiongozi katika shule hii. Na naomba kwamba serikali imetupa darasa moja hapa kujenga, tulikuwa tunataka tujenge hapa, lakini kwa sababu ya mtu alikuwa amefamia ikafika kwamba watoto wanafinyakana huko. Na shamba watoto hawana mahali pa kuchezea, sasa wamefurahia, watoto hoye!
They say they will not be threatened anymore as they want their children to have a safe and conducive learning environment. Helen Aura, NTV.
Well, it is now 51 seconds past 14 minutes past 1, and we take a break here on NTV. And when we come back, we have several other stories, including preparations on COP that we'll be highlighting. Don't go too far.
There are a lot of things you can pick in life, just not your age or medical conditions.
So hii family iko na asthma, iko na diabetes na iko na arthritis. Itabidi mmefanya medical exam kwanza. Sana sana kabla mzee afike 60. Na pia preconditions ziko na limits.
If she was getting Shwari medical cover, hangekuwa na hizi stress. Cause with Shwari, una access full limit kutumia unavyohitaji. Ukiona Shwari, utawahi sikia umepitisha limit ya preconditions na bado uko na pesa imebaki. Bonyeza *371# kuchukua Shwari medical cover leo.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV at 1. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. Let's continue informing you. And the 16th Global Convention of Biological Diversity in the Colombian city of Cali next month will see global leaders convene to discuss the state of the world's natural resources that have been diminishing due to human activities. Grassroots organizations in Kenya are preparing to participate in the biannual conference in October and get their voices heard on the key issues. Among them is the loss of agricultural biodiversity due to the extinction of indigenous seed varieties that were vital in food and nutrition in different parts of the country. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, smallholder farmers supply 80% of the seeds in the informal seed system that is rich in nutrition and climate-resilient seed varieties.
One contributor to loss of our local varieties of diversity, communities are no longer cultivating them and utilizing them. So, of course, the work that we have as a grassroots organization in collaboration with farmers is to sensitize each other in communities on their importance and to ensure that we cultivate and even find markets for utilization of those crops.
The aspect around conservation and sustainable use under the CBD provides this opportunity to be able to take into account also indigenous seed and small farmers' varieties. And we see how this is also linked to sustainable farming, which, in the end also contribute to, the climate adaptation practices.
Elsewhere, operations at Kimunye Tea Factory in Gishugu, Kirinyaga County have been paralyzed for the 4th day running after farmers boycotted tea picking until the management listens to their plea. The agitated farmers say that this year's tea bonus of 51 shillings per kilo is so little as compared to the work the farmers have put in their tea farms, adding that their factory has spent a lot of money as running costs as compared to other factories. They want the management to increase the amount to 60 shillings per kilo. A meeting called by the area Member of Parliament Gishimo Githenji to resolve the matter bore no fruit as farmers did not want to listen to him. The management says that the bonus released was as a result of low leaf quality and the payment of subsidized fertilizer, since the government is yet to release the funds.
Sababu moja kuu ni tukijifananisha kwa miaka zingine. Zile factories zenye tumekuwa level moja, tumeweza kuwa tumeenda chini yao na zaidi ya shilingi 10. Zile sababu wanajaribu kutuelezea ni kuwa majani yetu quality imekuwa chini.
Tuliweza kulipa fertilizer ambayo subsidy hapa tulikuwa tumeambiwa tutapewa na serikali haikufika kwa wakati. Kwa hivyo tulikuwa ndani na fertilizer na kila mkulima walikuwa wamechukua fertilizer hiyo.
Kwa leo hakuna hesabu ambazo zimetolewa na wale madirector walikuwa pale, na ni muhimu ndio haki ionekane kutendeka. Watu wapewe mahesabu yao kamili ilivyo ndio waweze kuridhika.
Nation Media Group has once again taken the lead in advocating for mental wellness at the workplace by hosting the 3rd annual Mental Wellness and Counseling Conference at Radisson Blue Hotel in Upper Hill, Nairobi. With the theme of this year being "It is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace," the event aimed at fostering healthier work environments and brought together industry leaders and experts to champion the cause of employee well-being. The conference emphasized the importance of nurturing positive relationships between HR and employees to ensure not only productivity, but also a work environment where mental well-being is being prioritized.
When did you work to a particular department as a HR leader? HR, most of the time, we are in our ivory towers. We know them. Uko juu. We are waiting for people to come with their problems. Please don't be seated in your office throughout. Just do some random walks along the building. Yeah. That is how you can pick the tone, the temperature, the vibe. Being reminded the vibe, the temperature. Yes. And then you say, I think in the digital department, there's an issue. People are very cold there. I need to have a discussion with the people.
And in every aspect of our lives, especially in the workplace, in our fast-paced world, and you could say that again, where stress has become a norm, it is really easy to forget the mental health is just as important as physical health. We must stop treating it as an afterthought. When you first gathered here in 2022 under the convening power, the convening of Nation Media Group, we recognize the urgent need to bring mental health out of the shadows, raising awareness, reducing stigma, and increasing access to affordable mental health care.
As promised that we will be crossing our borders, let's now head to Burundi, which is still struggling to contain an outbreak of the deadly Mpox virus, a month after it was declared an emergency in the region. Authorities are grappling to manage the virus, but lack of adequate resources is hampering the fight. But as Isaac Wafula now tells us, there is hope as various stakeholders pull together.
Burundi has reported nearly 600 cases of the Mpox virus, second only to the Democratic Republic of Congo. But outbreaks are confined to a limited area and no deaths have been reported. Authorities in the East African nation have outlined measures to curb the outbreak.
Children in Burundi are bearing the brunt of the Mpox outbreak with alarming rates of infection and health impact. Of the nearly 600 reported cases, 2/3 are children under 19 years old. And the situation is escalating really rapidly with more than 40% increase in cases over the last 3 weeks.
One of the factors will be the ability to fight stigma by raising awareness of the disease, according to Gwakum.
I don't know if you've seen a picture of a patient with Mpox. It's scary. It's scary sometimes even after treatment. You are having long-term complications with scars. That's number one, and people don't want to have scars on their faces. Number two, the mode of transmission, not all of it, but there is a sexual connotation in transmission, and sex in Africa is not something that is spoken of on a daily basis. And if they think you are having a sexually transmitted disease, it stigmatizes you as well in terms of integration in your society.
No deaths have been reported so far, and availability of enough resources will be key in eradicating the virus.
We have not had any case of death. We have an opportunity to end this outbreak in a very short time period because the geographical area is kind of limited, and with concerted effort from all partners, I think we can limit the spread, we can contain the virus, and we can stop the outbreak without any loss of life. I think if we have all the resources in terms of doing the key intervention, number one, risk communication and community engagement, accompanied by an enabling environment where these populations, they are having the right tools in terms of infection and prevention controls, tools and supplies. I think we can stop it very quickly, but I don't think I want to give you a date, but I just think this can be stopped within a very few weeks.
Gwakum says about 2/3 of those affected so far in Burundi are children, and UNICEF is working to revive COVID-19 era remote learning to plan for children to continue learning from hospital or homes. Nevertheless, UNICEF has appealed for nearly $60 million to fight the virus in Burundi and 5 other countries.
There goes the sign that we are now into the sporting fields, and the push for a more favourable match schedule must come from the players, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has said. Manchester City midfielder Rodri warned that players could be close to a strike action over their increased workload. Guardiola's comments came ahead of his side's clash with Arsenal on Sunday. Later this afternoon, 8 matches are on the cards with Chelsea. Minute 3-0 win away to El Ettifaq in the Saudi Pro League. Cristiano Ronaldo opened the scoring, slotting home from the penalty spot in the 33rd minute. Salem Al-Najdi and Anderson Talisca then added 2 more in the second half. US Open champion Emma Raducanu to retire from her Korea Open quarter-final clash with top seed Daria Kasatkina after losing the first set 6-1 on Saturday. The Briton struggled to serve with her injured left foot, which is her landing leg, as she played on after... September 2024. It has been an honor hosting you here alongside the entire team of the Nation Media Group led by Edmond Nyabola on content and Diana Etabale on the production. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. NTV at 1 closes right now, but do enjoy the rest of your viewing.